You know, the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, says that we often get 80% of the benefit by doing 20% of the things that we need to do. And so we're going to spend some time talking about how to be successful, because we want to work smarter, not necessarily harder. And if we're going to be consistent, then we want to utilize our energies as much as possible and to use them in the best way possible. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome back to my 100-day walk to consistency. This is day number 40. Each day, we're adding a new piece to the puzzle. We're setting ourselves up for success. We're building on what we've learned before. And over the last week, we've talked about organization. We've talked about emotional resilience. We've talked about emotional strength. And today we're going to talk about one of those other keystone principles that sets us up for success, the 80-20 rule. Remember, consistency is your key. Consistency is a superpower, and that's what we're working on building. Remember, consistency is your key. Consistency is the superpower that we're working to build as we move into a posture and into a space of success. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll see you on the walk. All right, so we continue to talk about consistency, and you can see behind me that it has been raining. So I've been actually sitting in my car for about 20 minutes or so waiting for the rain to ease up, and it looks like it's clearing up, so I'm hopping in here. And remember, you take any opportunity that you can to do the things that you have to do to be consistent and to be successful. So today was raining and I was tempted to just hang out inside, but I said no, if we're going to be consistent, then we have to make sure that we are taking opportunity and even using times as an illustration here in this space that things don't have to be perfect, right? Remember, we are working on progress, not perfection. Anyway, so today we're talking about the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. And how do we understand the 80-20 rule in terms of health? But generally speaking, what the 80-20 rule says is that 20% of the effort yields 80% of the benefits. It's also something that we can apply to so many different areas. For instance, if you own a store and you're selling product, what you will find is that 20% of the products that you have on the shelves or in your space that you sell, you get 80% of your profit from 20% of the products. Also, if you are a team leader, you can find that you get 80% of the work from 20% of your teams. Okay? So it is a principle that can be extrapolated to lots of different places. I've even heard, I've even seen this applied to relationships. When we're talking about rebuilding relationships, or when we did marital work with some folks, or we used to do seminars, my wife and I, one of the things that we talked about is the fact that we often spend our time chasing the 20% when we actually have 80% of what we want or what we need. And so we spend a lot of time, wasted time sometimes, chasing for that extra 20%, and we forget to look at the 80% that's there. That's a whole other conversation, okay? But in this space, when we talk about our health, one of the things that we actually will realize is that there's a list of things that we have, right? List of things that we've come up with, goals that we've set. And if we do 20% of those things, we get 80% of the benefit. But often we find ourselves looking at the things that we don't have and spinning our wheels trying to do additional things which don't get us the same benefit. So in space of health, in the health journey, this means that focusing on some key things, some key elements, some key principles, right? Keystone, once again. Focusing on those gets us what we need in terms of the benefits that we're looking for. Okay, so one of the key insights I want you to get here is that when you identify those few actions, they contribute to most of the things, most of the benefits that you're going to see. Right? So why the 80-20 rule matters in health? Well, in our health journey, we are already in a space where we're talking about trying to be consistent. We are already trying to find time in our busy schedule. We're trying to optimize what we're doing. And so if we can achieve good benefits, large benefits, with, I don't want to say minimal effort, but with effort that is not over the top, then that's something that we definitely want to do, because it sets us up for success, it sets us up for consistency, and it sets us up to be successful, right? Because if we see benefits, if we see things improving, then we're more likely to continue doing what we're doing. Remember that consistency, confidence leads to consistency, and vice versa, and it leads to competence as well. So if we're able to put in 20% and get 80% of the benefit, then that is a plus in our mind, and our brain says, okay, let's do more of that. Okay, so that's why it's one of the reasons why it's important. It teaches that when you prioritize certain actions, then those actions can lead to bigger benefits. Once again, this harkens back to our concepts that we've been talking about in terms of prioritization. Remember the Eisenhower principle or matrix that says that you are walking around some water here. The Eisenhower matrix that says that we want to focus on the urgent and important things, and we do not want to do the non-urgent, non-important things. Okay, so if we focus on those things that are the 20%, then we get better benefits from that. When we focus on the high impact activities, we not only make faster progress, but we also stay motivated because we're seeing the benefits that come from that. When you are seeing changes, when you're seeing improvements, I'll tell you, let's talk a little bit about my weight journey. There are times when I am in a space where I want to eat something. All right, let's take that. And one of the things I ask myself is, do I want to undo the benefits that I've had so far? And the answer is usually no, right? Because no, I don't want to undo it, because I want to maintain. And so if I put on some weight and I step on that scale and I've done something, right? I step on the scale and I see some benefit, I see that scale, that number is changing, I'm more likely, right, to continue doing what I'm doing. Okay? That's a whole discussion that we can have there. So how do we apply the 80-20 rule to our health? That's a big conversation, but in general, you ought to identify the high impact activities that will give you the the big benefits without big input. So reflect on the habits that you have, reflect on the things that you're doing, the most significant efforts of your health, like regular exercise, balanced eating, proper hydration, right? And so the question that we are asking is, what are the 20% of things that we can do that gives us the 80% benefit? Here's an interesting one. So often I'll have people say to me, well, I'm going to eat, and pick your sweet of choice. They say, I'm going to eat this particular thing because I really like it, and I've decided that I'm going to exercise it off. I'm going to work it off. And if you think about exercising and your ability to work something off, let's take a cookie. a random cookie, and we're gonna say that cookie has, I don't know, 300 calories. If I do a 20-minute mile, and this is walking, I'm not talking about all out running, jogging, I'm talking about just walking, 20-minute mile. For each mile that I go, depending on the terrain, I'll burn about 100 calories. So that means that for an hour, 20-minute mile, I would burn 300 calories. Make sense so far? Well, we just said that that cookie that you ate is 300 calories. So in order to burn the calories that come from the cookie, I have to walk for 1 hour. And that's just for one cookie. And most of us don't eat one cookie. We eat more than one cookie, and then we eat some other stuff. The average person eats between 1,800 and 2,000 calories per day, right? If we're being healthy, then we'll bring that down to about 1,500. Well, where do you think you get a bigger bang for your buck? It's not in the kitchen, right? Sorry, it's not in the gym. It's not in the walking, right? The bigger bang for your buck comes from what you do in the kitchen. So if I'm looking and I'm evaluating this 20-80 rule, 80-20 rule, then I would say that the 20% that I want to do is actually in the kitchen, right? So if I'm consistent there, then the amount of effort I have to put in terms of the activity in the gym is lower. So the 80-20 rule, perfect example of that, because I can take care of a big portion of my weight loss, my calories, by simply doing something in the kitchen rather than planning to do something in the gym, because I don't have the time. Like, how many of us will exercise 2, 3, 4 hours on an average day, right? And that's sometimes what people say. Well, man, I've been exercising. Well, how much long did you exercise? Well, an hour. Well, how many calories did you eat today? Right? Now, it's not all a calorie thing. It's not just calories in, calories out, but you get the idea that there are things that we can do that set us up for bigger success than eating it in the exercise. Okay? We're talking about the health space. If you find that prioritizing meals prep, for example, on a daily basis, moves the impact of your energy and your mood the most, then prep. So you're getting a big bang for your buck, because if I prep for my meals and I am able to get more energy, that energy makes my mood better. My mood is better, and so I don't feel tired, I don't feel weak, I don't feel frustrated, so I don't buffer with food. Then guess what I've done? I've circumvented all of that by what? By doing something simple, by prepping. So that's one of the 20%. Okay? So watching what I'm eating, number one, so I don't have to eat it and then go exercise, and then meal prep, right? So that's part of my 20%, because it cascades down into so much more things, right? Let go of low impact actions. All right, so you want to identify high impact actions, like we just talked about, and then you want to let go of low impact actions. We sometimes spend our time or spin our wheels doing things that aren't bringing us benefit. So a lot of people say, well, let's go back to the meal prep idea. I want things fresh. I want things to become, just from the store. And that's a great idea. But if you're trying to get things from the store sends you to the grocery store every day, and so you take an hour and a half every day to the grocery store to get the things, to bring them home, to then prep, that may not be the best use of your time. Would it be better to, on a weekly basis, come up with your list, go to the grocery store, spend an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, shopping, getting those things that you need, coming home and prepping, and then using that hour that you would normally hop to the store every day and use that for exercising. Right? Maybe you exercise when you go to the grocery store. Maybe you do that. So you've got to look at your circumstance and decide what's the best use of the time, right? So we can sometimes spend time on minor activities. So recognize what the low impact activities are, and consider if they're worth the time and energy that you're putting into them. By letting go of non-essential tasks, you are opening up yourself to be able to do some of those other tasks. My wife has this saying, and I'm not really sure where she got it, but she says, when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. When you say yes to going to the grocery store every day and spending that hour and a half, you may be saying no to having an hour to go walk, or an hour to be in the gym, or an hour to meditate, or an hour to time block, right? So you've got to look at all of those, because all of that counts as we're talking about setting ourselves up for success, okay? And then track and refine your focus. As you are implementing the 80-20 rule, keep an eye on your progress. I'm waiting for this car to go by. Keep an eye on your progress. Adjust your priorities. If you find new actions that yield better results, then let's do those. Okay? Remember, we're always refining, we're always adjusting, we're always pivoting if we need to. If you notice that tracking your hydration and setting a bedtime routine improves your overall wellness, then make these changes. Right? So you're always looking, how can we be better? How can we do this a little bit better in this space? How can we be a little bit more success? And then use the 80-20 rule in different health areas. You can apply across multiple areas: exercise, diet, blood sugar management, mental health, sleep. So maximize what you're doing. So as you're looking to different areas of your life, you'll find that you can apply, as I talked about at the top of the hour, you can apply the 80-20 rule to lots of different places, okay? By applying the principles broadly, you get to exercise and you get to look at how to refine. What do I need to do to be successful? So one of the things that we're working on with consistency, right? So every time we do it, every time we're consistent, every time we walk, every time we do the video, every time we do the challenge, every time we do the work sheet, each time we're giving a vote for success. And so every time you use the 80-20 rule, you are, in essence, saying to your brain, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to roll. This is how we want to, this is a tool that we want to use to be successful. And the brain begins, taking it in and learning it. In my New Year, New You program that we talk about, how do we improve our health? How do we reverse diabetes? How do we set ourselves up for metabolic success? We have the COPE model, COPE. So clarify, observe, pause, and execute. And this is a way of dealing with triggers, food triggers, right? So food triggers come from habits, emotions that we have, access to we have for food, and the taste, the things that it does for us, the food, what the food does for us. And so how do we overcome those, right? The COPE model is a model to do that. We basically clarify. Whenever we're about to eat, we clarify, why am I eating? Is it because I'm hungry, or because I just had that argument with my significant other, or because I just got my boss that told me something that I didn't like and now I'm feeling a kind of way, okay? Or is it just that I'm bored and I'm at the house and there's food on the table? There's nuts over there, there's candy over there, there are chips in the pantry. Or does that food that I'm about to eat remind me of a better time in my life where I felt less stress, where I was feeling comfortable? Does it remind me of somebody significant in my life? Right? So all of those, that comes from the heat model. So when those things happen, it pushes us to eat even though we've made a decision that we're not going to. And so how do we combat that? The first is to figure out, okay, am I eating because I'm hungry? Or am I eating because something else happened? Where am I feeling that? Is it in my stomach? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling tense? Is it my shoulders? Does my head feel hot? My ears feel hot? Am I angry? Am I frustrated? Right? And I add a name to it. So I'm feeling it where it is in my body. How is it manifesting? What is the emotion that's attached to it? And then I pause. I'm pausing to take a moment. I'm taking a breath, maybe 1, 2, 3 breath. I count to 5. I ground myself by finding, 5 sounds in my ear. Whatever it is, whatever method that you've used to take that pause so that our prefrontal cortex comes back and connects with our amygdala and says, okay, I know you feel this way, but you don't have to eat as a result, right? So that's the thing. And then we choose something else. We go walking, we call a friend, we call our sponsor, we get up and move around, right? Whatever the thing is. So we clarify, we observe where it is in our body, we name it, we pause, and then we execute something different than we normally would do. So that's the model. And in order for that model to succeed, we've got to what? We've got to practice. So you got to go through it over and over and over and over again. And so that's just like this. The 80-20 rule, you have to do it over and over and over. You may not get success the first time, right? Because you're looking, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this thing over here. And you realize, well, that's not what's bringing me the benefit. And so you adjust and you make changes and you tweak. But every time you do it, you are setting yourself up for success, okay? So what are those high impact things that we can do that will give us big benefits? The 80-20 rule. And we are applying that, we're extrapolating that, we're using that, not just when it comes to health, but we're using that in lots of different areas in our lives, okay? So that's understanding the 80-20 rule. So what are the benefits of focusing on the 80-20 rule? Well, number one, it increases your efficiency. It increases decreases, I should say, the time that it takes you to get benefits, right? Increases our efficiency, decreases the time that it takes you to get benefits. Because what we're doing is we're putting in our time in a strategic way. We're looking at those things that we can do that gives us big benefits. A truck going by. Big benefits with minimal efforts. Okay? And as I'm saying this, I just realized that I did not turn on my my app to track my walk. So you guys won't hear that coming in today in this episode. All right, so increased efficiency, right? So focusing on high impact actions means you get better results in less time. That's what I was trying to say. Better results in less time. Okay, it allows you to streamline your efforts and see progress more quickly. If eating a whole nutrient-dense meal helps manage your blood sugar, making it a priority gets you better blood sugars faster. Right? You've heard me talk about balanced bites. Every bite counts in our health, right? And balancing each bite gives us benefits. So if we are using that as our 20%, then we're looking at that and using it, and it helps us to get more efficient and it helps us to get better numbers faster. Because if you don't do balanced bites, you have blood sugars that are fluctuating, that are going all over the place. Okay. Number two, you have greater consistency and motivation. This goes back to what we've been talking about. When you see benefits, when you see the goals coming, when you are able to hit those milestones, then you have a lot of motivation. And if you see it faster, much better. And if you're not putting in tremendous amount of effort to see those small benefits or those benefits, then that's even better, right? So the motivation is there, and it really just cascades one thing on top of the other. So it helps you to have greater motivation. And when we're motivated and we're seeing benefits, we are consistent. There you go. Look at that. See, that word consistency had to come in there somehow. Okay. So consistency becomes easier when you focus on actions. When you're focused on a small number of actions, you're able to be more consistent as opposed to having to do 100 things. Now we say, okay, yeah, if we do these 20 things, if we do these 2 things, right? So think about it, 10%, 20%. If you have 10 things, you do 2 of them and you get 80% of the benefit. So it says that, yeah, I can concentrate on these things. When you focus on those actions, you're able to get a routine, and the routine aligns, right, with what we do. And that is one of the things that we talk about as we deal with our lives. Okay, RAS. Remember that from my last couple of videos ago, a couple of episodes. Okay, and then eliminate unnecessary stress is another way that the 80-20 rule helps us. Eliminates unnecessary stress. Letting go of low impact actions that don't contribute to the overall goal, right? Those take away frustration, and it gets rid of the stress that we have. Because we're like, man, I'm doing all of this stuff and I'm not getting the benefit. Well, 80-20 says, okay, we're gonna do these group of things here is gonna give us 80% of the goal, and I'm not frustrated because these other ones are not taking me as quickly to where I need to be, right? So it eliminates unnecessary stress. If you're trying to incorporate a variety of complicated supplements, this can overwhelm you. But if you limit those to just a few, then you get to see the benefit. And then it gets stronger foundation for long-term success. So when we are exercising the 80-20 rule, then it sets us up to know what are those things that we are sure are giving us benefit. We're practicing those, and because we're practicing those, we're getting better at them. Because we're getting better at them, we're getting more confident. We become more confident, and that gives us more consistency, and the consistency gives us more success, and we're able to do that and maintain that longer term. Okay, so it helps us in long-term success. So high impact actions build habits that support lasting health, giving you a foundation that you can rely on for long-term benefits. Okay, all right. So 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. Now, you know, we can't ever go without a challenge. So are you ready for the challenge? Remember to grab your journal and grab a pencil. And our challenge for today is to identify and apply the 80-20 rule. So let's see, let's stop over here. I think this is a good one. Okay, we'll go right here. Okay, so we're going to apply the 80-20 rule. Let me see, maybe I go here to get that sign out of the way. Well, I don't want to run the risk of someone showing up behind me. So let's move away from that building. All right, there we go. I think this is good. Yeah, let's do it right here. Okay, and we'll do it this way. Get some trees in the background, maybe. Okay, yeah, I think I like that. I like that view. All right, so 80-20 rule, right? So you got your journal. So number one, make a list of daily activities, right? List out all tasks and activities that you usually do for your goal, right? So what are the things that you do? Identify, this is number two, identify your high impact tasks. So go through the list and highlight the 20% of activities that are producing the major benefits, right? 80%. Number 3, schedule the high impact tasks first. So do those first. And then, so time block time for that, like we've been talking about. And you got to figure out, okay, how do I prioritize what I'm doing, right? So go back and watch some of those videos. So time block these essential tasks at the beginning of your day, giving yourself full attention, or paying full attention to those. Then number 4, minimize or eliminate low impact items. Minimize or eliminate low impact items that don't contribute in a meaningful way to the things that we're doing. And then once you have done that, you want to begin doing the things that are on your list. Remember, things on the list are just that, things on the list. They don't get power, they don't get life, they don't get energy until you infuse them with your action. Okay? After you've done that, then you want to sit down and you want to reflect on your progress. At the end of the day, review how focusing on high impact activities have done, what they've done in terms of you being successful in what you need to do. Because we're always looking at how do we change, how do we adjust, how do we become better, right? So we're always reflecting and we're always looking for a better way to do the things that we're doing. All right, so that is your challenge for today. And you want to begin implementing that, not tomorrow, not the day after, but you want to begin implementing that right now, right? So get your journal, go ahead and write those things out, and so you will be able to look at them and begin to incorporate incorporate the channel, okay? And make sure you're taking the time to do all of that as we move into consistency and we move into success.